Alright, what is up guys, Speed here, and today I'm bringing you guys kind of a different topic, no gameplay. Today, no top heroes, no tier lists, just something I really wanted to share with you guys. I think it's a pretty interesting topic, a funny topic at that, and that is camera controls. Before we jump into the video, I want to let you guys know that you can check out guides just like this one, made by top tier pros over at gameleap.com. We have thousands of guides that can teach you the game of Dota 2 in depth, and help you gain MMR much quicker than you usually would. Now let's jump into it. Now, the reason I want to bring up camera controls is I actually think there are multiple ways you can go about it, simply because the way I've went about it is not traditional whatsoever. Now, I know I'm going to receive a lot of hate for this. However, after years of research, I have discovered that there is actually quite a community for my settings, and that would be WASD camera movement. Now, I want to make a video just pretty much going over how I set it all up, maybe giving people an option who really struggle with edge panning, because give just the people another option for camera settings. So let's jump right into it. First off, the main settings are here. This is what's most important, having your camera actions as WSAD. This allows you to, instead of using these keys for abilities, which I believe is QWER, you're using your left hand for camera actions. What this allows you to do is continue using your mouse wherever you want. What I notice about edge panning for a lot of players is that they commonly move their mouse and then struggle to be as fast as possible or cast a spell late because they're focused on edge panning. Now, with a lot of experience, this is not necessarily an issue, but the thing is, with WASD, you never have to move your cursor at all to move the camera. And because of this, when you're blocking creeps in particular, it's very easy to block them, right? You can focus on your hero movement instead of moving the camera. Same thing for juking in trees, like little juke plays and clicking. It's just a lot easier, right? In my opinion, because you do not have to move your cursor at all. Going back to the original, I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as my abilities. The only issue I've come into contact with this is changing your 5th ability to something that isn't 6, because 6 is actually quite a reach if you don't have a large hand. Like myself. Sorry, not part of the large hand gang, but it can be quite an issue for a hero such as Invoker, right? It becomes a little bit iffy in casting spells. You can get used to it, right? I have a decently higher win rate on Invoker. It's not like it's unplayable. It can become a little bit annoying and easy to misclick. Moving on, though, we have Select Hero, which is T. This is basically how I've structured it, is everything is about the same except for your abilities and camera movement. Items are still the standard ZX, CV, BN, and I have my teleport as a mouse button. I find this the most useful, as you actually do need to get teleport off very quickly. You know, the 1 or 0.1, 0.2 seconds that it takes to maybe switch your finger to a key and double tap can be too late on a TP. It really does matter. There's a couple seconds, so I have it on a mouse button, and I find that very, very convenient. Now, you might wonder how I do things like micro, as I take up a lot of the keys, right? Just pretty much I use a lot of the keys on the keyboard, move the camera, right? Using all WASD. Every key that you would originally use for that, I've had to replace and move around over the years. So as I talked about, select hero T, select all controlled units R. This is just very simple. My micro, I pretty much only have to use T, R, and G. Now, I'll talk about other units afterwards, but the T, R, and G, I believe G is on the next page, but these just give me the ability to control my hero and my units, and just my units. And for a lot of heroes, I personally think this is all you need. Now, someone like Chen or Enchantress, you often need control groups, or maybe even like Meepo, but often, if you're looking for just general micro, you really do not need more than a select hero, select all controlled units, and select all their units. Honestly, these core 3, if you get these down and really figure out how to use them, you can do things like treant blocking, no problem. You can play Chen, it's not too big of a deal. However, if you're looking into complex micro, definitely figure out how to use control groups. Moving on, instead of having A as my deny button, as you would typically have it if I'm not mistaken, sometimes I forget what the original keys are, I have it as space. Now, I really like this because not only, well, I used to use it as deny, now I just use right click. I find that option a lot more useful. However, I used to deny with spacebar. Now I just use it to auto attack. I don't really ever use hold position. I don't actually even know what exactly hold position does, to be perfectly honest. That's why I have it as H, because I use tab for pretty much everything. Tab is my stop my current action and is very conveniently located, right? It's very close to A, so this is great for blocking, right? I can move my camera up with my middle finger, use my ring finger to tab and stop the camera, or I should say stop my hero. This is very convenient for blocking, and another reason why I'm a big fan of this. I have the move command because move is actually quite useful in some situations as another mouse button. right? Some of these other ones where I want to have it as a convenient key, I will switch to mouse buttons. Now, if you don't have mouse buttons, I highly recommend you try to get a mouse with one. They don't have to be expensive, but just having 2 on the side is very, very useful. Moving on, the most important hotkey in all of Dota 2, taunt item, is P. This is on the other side of the keyboard, so it doesn't clutter anything, but definitely got to make sure you have that in there. Once again, just going back over this WASD for the camera actions, and I can already feel all the hate coming in, but honestly, I've gotten all the way up to rank 80 using this, so if that proves anything, then yeah, I'm honestly confident that this is a great way for a lot of new players, also who have no edge panning experience, and maybe just have experience with shooters and the movement commands with that, to get into Dota. I actually think something like this could even be a great option for Dota to have in a tutorial section, potentially. Simply because a lot of games, such as Minecraft, which, believe it or not, was the game I played before Dota. I'm quite young compared to a lot of people in the community, so yeah, I'm not sad to say it, but Minecraft was my previous game, and WASD was the basic control movements for Minecraft. So as a result, when I came to Dota, I wanted something very, very similar. I didn't want to have to learn edge panning. It didn't feel natural. It just felt all over the place. So I immediately changed to something of my comfort zone. And for a lot of players coming to Dota, there's already a ton of things they have to worry about. They have to worry about all the mechanics, all the heroes, hero abilities, combos, lane, mid game, late game, all these ideas being thrown at them. So the last thing you want to have on your mind is a complex setting setup. And I honestly think my setting setup, just with this basic WASD and then focusing everything on the left side of your keyboard, such as your abilities. The nice thing about it is I don't shove anything to the right side of the keyboard, right? I'm not missing any commands. Only thing I would say I'm one day going to look into is really fixing up my control commands, or I should say my control groups, because that does actually get a little bit annoying. It can become somewhat inconvenient because I do actually somewhat run out of buttons on this side, but with the F key I can funnel through. I actually not sure where the F key is. I'm going to briefly go over my options just to kind of make this an overall like settings guide. So going over hotkey options, I have quick cast on key down. I actually don't use quick cast, so this is not too big of a deal. That is another thing I would look into. If you're not familiar with what quick cast is, it allows you to quickly cast abilities. Wow, that was really clever. By not having to get the marker. Basically, wherever you click the key, it will immediately cast it. And this is great for amping up your time. Similar, I should say, to when you're juking in spots. If you don't have to edge pan, it's much faster. Double tap ability to self cast. I really like this one. I know some people don't like this, but I find this one very, very useful for specific heroes in particular. Maybe such as Omni Knight, or trying to think of another example. There's definitely a few. I can't remember, but this one is super, super useful in the sense that whenever your hero has often like a heal, maybe, like Dazzle with Grave and his heal, whenever you have an ability you want to cast on yourself as a hero, this is extremely useful. Now, it can be somewhat self-destructive. If you're a hero maybe like Oracle, when you're trying to Purifying Flame someone, you might actually double tap and then nuke yourself, which can be actually super bad. But moving on, these aren't really particularly useful if you're not looking into complex hotkeys. My setup is meant to be as simple as possible, and I don't really use any of those. Moving on to options. For auto attack, I have it on standard. Auto select summon units. Now, the reason why I don't have this is I often feel like when I'm microing as a hero like Prophet, if I have it selected, it just kind of gets confused in my mind where like I'll move my hero, so I just want them separated. Whenever I summon Treants, I just want to click my G key and be able to move them separated. I don't want to have to worry about them being binded to my hero. So I have that one off. This one is quite useful though. If you're new to the game, I would probably keep it on, or even just like in the beginning phases of micro, it's probably easier to keep track of things. Once again, this is on, smart double tap on, unique orders with control on, teleport requires hold or stop. This is one of my favorites easily. If you don't have this on, I would highly recommend it, especially with the simplicity of me having it as tab. It's super easy. I always know whether or not I'm going to keep my teleport going, and I can keep my abilities and shift queue them if I need them when TPing it. Right click to force attack is my favorite hotkey that I didn't use for the longest time. This allows you to deny with right click and is super, super important. If you're not using this already, I highly recommend you put it on. It prevents you from having to just click so many buttons on your keyboard when trying to go for denies, and you can right click for CS and right click for denies. It's very, very simple and makes the laning stage a lot easier in my personal opinion. What I want to note is that I still actually keep edge pan on. I find it useful in certain situations. You know, over time, I became used to using it for spectating, and as a result, I kind of incorporated it into some parts of my game if needed. I can't really specifically name them because it's kind of one of those niche things for me, as I do just use, right, as I said, WASD to move the camera, so I don't really need edge pan. However, it's still a nice thing to keep on and just have down as a Dota player, as it's just, it feels wrong to turn it off. I don't want to rebel completely. So what you'll notice about my minimap is you can see the hero icons. I don't, honestly, I've seen people that use just maps like that, and it's really hard to tell who's coming where. You want to know what hero's ganking you, or what hero's roaming, and what heroes are in which lane. It's super important, so if you don't have the icons already, please put this on. It's such a big deal in my opinion. Now the rest of these aren't too complicated, so we're going to move on, or useful I should say, not that big of a deal. So we're going to move on to advanced options. I have standard on for summon unit auto attack. I think this is good when you're playing a hero like Prophet or any hero like Lycan, where they'll attack automatically. Disable auto attack when stop is held. This is great for last hitting in lane, as it will prevent you from just constantly throwing out right clicks and pushing the lane accidentally. Basically, I'm constantly pressing my tab key in order to keep my hero steady. But the reason I like doing this is I'm always ready to right click, right? If my hand is not quick enough, I'll still be able to auto attack a creep in the laning stage. Now for the last ones, we're going to go over miscellaneous. I'm just skipping over these because they don't really matter too much. The one I want to point out is move after ability target cancelled. Basically, you'll just continue moving after you cancel an ability, and it's just like a nice quality of life thing. And I would definitely test it out if you haven't used this already. So hopefully this helped you guys out. And if you're interested in WASD and your friends make fun of you, now you can at least say some rank 80 gameleap content creator makes it, and then they'll laugh at you. Yeah, I think it's quite viable in the sense that for a lot of new players coming to Dota, not that there is as many as there used to be, but just for a lot of people who are uncomfortable with edge panning when they first start Dota, this is a great option, and I just want to put it out there for people to see, because I think it's great to have other options rather than the complex ones that Dota provides you with, right? For a lot of people, they might be like, edge panning is the way to go, it's just so nice, it's so simple, but for a player who's never experienced before, it's a nightmare. It's a complete nightmare. You get lost, you can't move to the fight, you fall behind your hero. It's just a mess, honestly. So I think this is a great option. If your friends are trying to get into Dota, you can recommend them this video, and I honestly think this will help them a lot with keeping the game simple and making them not lose themselves on the map. Or if you just are struggling in MMR and you want to blame it on your settings, then just change it to this, I guess. Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe. And yeah, that will help the channel grow. I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'll like your comment. Not that I would know, but I'll try my best. See ya.